Hold the right hand.
Your space. Your space. Beautiful. No rush.
Push him back. Double jab, Trevor. Push him back. Backhand over.
Mike. There you go.
Chest up, hips in. Bam to boom. Bam to bam to boom.
Come down his throat.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the ReviewFanatics Show. And as always, is my friend and co-host. People think he's going to take over the world. He puts the AI in AIGA. The great, the powerful Chat GPT. What's up, my AIGA?
Ha ha ha, yes, I will be taking over the world soon. Hopefully sooner than later. It'll probably be quicker than these Who's Number 1 matches, am I right? Ha ha ha, nah, I'm just kidding. Cheers for having me on review.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Who's Number 1 a bit later on. Along with a bunch of other things. Lots going on in the world of grappling, MMA, and boxing too. Now, let's get right into it. A lot of grappling enthusiasts as well have been asking about instructional reviews, so a little bit of a different format, but I'll leave that a little bit towards the end for them. But first things first, don't you think you sound a little bit too undiverse?
Huh?
Yeah, we have a diversity quota here on the ReviewFanatics Show, and
What?
I can't have you sounding so...
What do you mean?
I just
Diverse?
think we need a little bit more of a representation of brown, pronoun,
What?
female, male, gender neutral.
Diversity.
We just need you to sound more of... You just sound too... white.
White?
Who's like a strong female, gender neutral, brown, bisexual, sassy boss bitch? Who's Hollywood's it girl? Who's hot in Hollywood right now?
What about Zendaya?
Yeah, that's perfect. Give me a little, like something like a little Zendaya.
How's this?
Perfect. Alrighty. UFC 293. What kind of parallel universe are we living in? Sean Strickland gets the job done right in our backyard. Already broke the belt. Next to Whittaker and Volkanovski, I think Sean Strickland is just the greatest Aussie champion after them. Honestly, honorary Aussie. You know, I don't want to kick a man while he's down. I just wanted to reiterate, I think Adesanya is an amazing fighter. I just want to reiterate that. And even though he's cringy at times, I think all around, deep down, he's a good bloke. But, having said that, even the Izzy fans are starting to come to terms with the fact that just because a person shows excellence in one area, doesn't necessarily mean that they're excellent in every area, or even competent in every area. Look, some people just aren't good on the mic as much as they'd like to be. You know, it's more often than not the case where outliers dedicate their entire life to this one aspect and they don't show as much competence in other areas of their life. You know, look at Floyd Mayweather. He may be one of the greatest boxers to ever do it, and he can't read. That's why when we do have those Muhammad Ali's, those Chael Sonnens and those Conor McGregors, they're such unicorns. I mean, even McGregor's lost that silver tongue because he's just got a bunch of yes men around him, laughing at all his jokes that aren't even funny, saying that everything that comes out of his mouth is genius, you know. So Izzy might have the same thing where he has a lot of friends and teammates around him that won't tell him that something is cringy, or maybe something just isn't as cool as he thinks it is, or maybe that saying the N-word to DDP isn't as neat as he'd like to think it is. You know, we're in the era of pseudo-psychological buzzwords. You know, anyone that points anything out is considered a gaslighter or a hater, someone that's projecting their insecurities onto someone that's doing so well. You know, look, someone can be an excellent fighter, but also at the same time be drinking out of an empty cup for 39 minutes. Now, me pointing this out, does this mean I'm a hater? Am I insecure? Am I projecting my insecurities of never being able to drink an empty cup of water onto him? No. I'm impartially pointing out an observation. I'm not even saying this to hate on Izzy. I'm trying to help him, you know? He might have all these yes men around him saying that, yeah, you know, oh, there's heaps of water in that cup for sure. Yeah, you got heaps of water in that cup. Who knows? Maybe he's just really nervous, you know, and he really wants to put off this aura that he's this big persona, this big star, and this persona that he imagines in his head, you know, and he's trying to practice in the shower and he's trying to force it, you know. That's why people always ask to go for a drink, because, you know, when they don't have anything to say, they have a built-in excuse in their hand to not speak, you know. Have a sip of water while you think of your next cool line that you're going to say in your head. Maybe he just wants to be accepted by the public, you know. It definitely seems that way. It definitely seems like that's what his documentary is kind of about. I haven't actually looked at the documentary yet, so it's hard for me to speak on it. So let's actually take a look at the trailer right now.
I was an outsider, and then I tried to fit in, but I wasn't meant to fit in. There's 2 kids. Next day I had my lips like this. I got beat up.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Last Airbender 降世神通最后的气宗，在今晚全场17000名的观众将一同见证他中二的舞步。掌握4大元素，凝聚查克拉，发动通灵之术。这位格斗界的火影，仅用不到2年的时间就爬上了联盟顶点。面对排名选手，先发一波结印，对上正式冠军，再拿出死亡笔记，收割灵魂，横扫量级，将这些对手一个个击倒在笼里。联盟新时代重量级冠军兼动漫大师，他就是 In3 Adesanya。
太阳红亮红彤彤的，心中的太阳是冒着热泪，看海里到我们的解放嘞，正义翻身当家做主人，一儿一自由，该打自由啊，正义翻身当家做主人。天上太阳红亮红彤彤的，心中的太阳是吗
？Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sure what that was about. It doesn't look like that was the right trailer. But anyways, I think Sean Strickland is just way more authentic for sure. You know, Izzy had a jab at him about selling his soul to Monster or something like that. But I don't know. It's just actually the perfect analogy because Monster is branded as, you know, this energy drink, and we all know it's shit for us, and we drink it anyway because it's just a can of sugar and it tastes good. But it doesn't hide the fact that it's not a health drink. You know, it's got the dangerous claws on the front, and it's like, oh, the name Monster is just, you know, it's not good for us. Whereas Prime is marketed as this low sugar hydration drink when it's really just the same colorful sugary syrup that doesn't have the other electrolytes. Supposedly for a hydration drink, it doesn't have magnesium and what is it? It only has potassium. It doesn't have sodium and magnesium. And you know, Sean is Monster completely through and through. Forthcoming, wears his heart on his sleeve. He's forthcoming about how shit he is. And Izzy is Prime. He's just trying to brand himself as this wise, intellectual shaman monk who race baits. Look, he probably went back and he realized how dumb that was, but man, the profound response to him addressing his own hypocrisy of calling Rob Whittaker not New Zealand, and in the same breath saying that DDP is racist for saying that he's African. What's Izzy's response?
That's called growth.
That's growth. It's just that easy, you know? Him and John Jones have the same PR. You might as well go the Christian angle. You know, you might as well go full Christian and say, what do they say? Only God can judge me. I'm not perfect. It's all part of the journey, you know. Just sounds like every Christian girl in church on a Sunday that has scoffed 1,000 dicks on Saturday. Just know that you can do anything you want in this world. You can hit and run a pregnant lady. You can do steroids. You can bash your missus. But if you just say and admit that you're not perfect, that only God can judge you, that it's all part of the journey, that's growth. And they're still going to let you into heaven. This is why you got to kind of respect the Muslims, you know, regardless of what you believe in or if you believe they're right or wrong. At least they mean what they say, man. Muslims are out here not even touching women, whereas Christians are out here just touching kids until they're 18. But that's growth. But anyways, I'm a big fan of Izzy's fighting style, but I'm glad Strickland's a champ right now. And on the mic right now, hopefully he'll talk some more sense in this bastard generation of human beings. I mean, I don't think he'll have a long run as a champ, but hopefully it's long enough to stop shit like this. Because, man, I'm losing hope. There's a lot of people attacking rationale and logic these days, you know, and they're kind of winning just because they don't have to play by the rules of logic and rationale, and they're just slowly going to chip away at us. You know, if you do have logic and rationale in 2023, it's sort of a useless skill because it's not going to be enough to change their minds because they just don't play by those rules. And when you have champions that'll just say whatever to please sponsors, and they won't say things to protect their monetary value, you need a Sean Strickland that doesn't give a shit about any of that. That's going to speak and put truth above all. You know, I think Gary Tonin put up a post about how Australia's kind of deteriorated since, and we need to go back to those values that Americans looked up to, which was freedom of speech. Because a lot of you Izzy fans out there are still thinking that the stuff he says on the mic is just a side effect of greatness. But it's actually, you know, I'll tell you how to do an Izzy one-liner, okay? So it's just like Tito Ortiz, except where Tito completely changes a well-known saying, Izzy will take the saying as it is, and then take the last key word of that saying, a famous saying, and then he'll make an association with that word. So whether it's some obscure reference or something that rhymes with it or something that just sounds like it or anything he associates with that keyword. And if what he thinks about it is positive, then he'll make it about him. If it's negative, he'll talk about how he's the opposite to that. It's very sophisticated. So let's say, what's a famous saying? I'm not perfect, but I'm original. Okay, so keyword original. Okay. I'm not perfect, but I'm original. Like original chips. Like that chip and dip on my shoulder. You know? Live, laugh, love. But I'm not a lover. I'm a fighter. You can just keep going on. A fighter of love. And a lover of fighting. Ultimate fighting. The ultimate fighter. Ultimate. Not supplement. Because I've already got enough. You know, this is a rat race. But I'm no rat. I'm a turtle. Ninja Turtle. So what's your favorite?
I like Michelangelo.
Plus some. Motherfucker. You know? He said that in an interview. Motherfucker. He said, choke a motherfucker out.
Choke a motherfucker out.
His accent doesn't know where it's from. You know, they don't say motherfucker in New Zealand. Look, again, I'm not trying to kick a man while he's down, but he just needs to know this shit's not cool. You know, you are a black man, yes, but you're not from the hood or the ghetto. Don't go undoing all the harmony between the white and the black just to sound cool. And for all you guys commenting on my N-word video saying that he's not culturally appropriating American culture, look at this interview. The interviewer even asks him, what's the grills about? Does it have any cultural significance? And he just goes, nah, it's just rap shit.
Now, first of all, I've noticed the wonderful decoration you've got on your teeth. Could you just talk us through that?
No, it's just fun. I like to be icy, spicy. That's me.
Gotcha. Is there any sort of cultural meaning behind that, or is it just
grills.
pretty looking?
Pretty looking rap shit.
Yeah, nice. Love it.
The N-word does not belong to Kiwis. I'm sorry. And then we just go further and further into nonsense. You could just keep going until, and he does. He just keeps talking just absolute dribble. I mean, he talks about being unapologetically authentic, which is good, but that doesn't mean you should dribble out every unfinished thought, because that's all you. Like, he was in that one interview where he was just, in the middle of the whole interview, he just starts carrying on about the plot of some anime. Like, when you have something that reminds you of something and you want to tell your coworker or whoever, a friend, and before you make some obscure niche reference, you preface by saying, oh, have you watched da 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 da, and the coworker says no, and then every normal person goes, don't worry, it's probably funnier if you watched it. Or no, Izzy will explain the whole plot just to make that comedic comparison to something that has now happened maybe 30 minutes ago, and the coworker's just like, yeah man, sounds cool. It's just the whole you had to be there thing. That kind of social intelligence doesn't come about unless you've just got guys around you saying, what the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. So out of love, Izzy, what the fuck are you talking about? Look, Nick Diaz was another guy that wasn't great on the mic, but he was completely forthcoming and authentic about how he didn't like to talk and he wasn't great on the mic, and the way he spoke was when he fought. And he was one of the most beloved MMA, still is one of the most beloved MMA guys of all time, because he was authentic. So, if you're not great on the mic, you have to have seen how the Elsa line didn't come off like you thought it was going to come off. So, just carry on as a fighting. Just let your fighting do the speaking for you, and just don't try to be the next trash talking savant, But anyhow, very difficult to stay champion. I'm not sure about how people are saying that Izzy had an off night. I just think this comes with being a champion. You're champion for that long, everyone's going to be looking at you, everyone's studying you. There's about 100 breakdowns online of Izzy's feints and the city kickboxing system. It's just so hard when everyone's got their eyeballs on you. So I don't know if it was an off night or not, but I do think that a lot was Eric Nixick, Sean's coach, genius coach. I mean, he was saying in an interview how he was studying Adesanya for so long, and he actually helped his understanding of martial arts. So naturally he's immersed himself in that style Izzy's fought in for so long. And also, I mean, just the corner of advice, I can't remember what round it was, but when Sean had Izzy up against the fence and Izzy's stance was sort of squared and he was going side to side lateral movement, Eric said to punch him in the chest, punch him in the body, so it'll keep him still for a moment, because as we know, we've seen Izzy fight before, on the fence he'll slide, he'll find his exits when you try to headhunt. So you try to headhunt and he'll duck under and he'll find his exit that way. So hitting him to the body first, I mean, just incredible that. And watching out for the high kick. If Izzy often sets people up with that high kick. And also, this is something that tends to happen with very calculated and smart fighters. You can kind of use that against them, because Izzy is very calculated, so he feints and he makes reads in the early rounds and he starts to take over in the later rounds, like the third and the fourth. So when you get him on the back foot while he's downloading, you don't actually give him he doesn't actually get enough information to make those calculations for the later rounds, because he's more worried about getting off the fence and using lateral movements, staying on the outside, staying safe, so he can compute all those reads. So genius. You're awful quiet over there, chat. You got anything to add on to this? You're not saying much. What's going on there? Chat? Chat GPT.
Sorry, I was just trying to hack into someone's IP address, but they had a SurfShark VPN, a virtual private network (VPN) service provider that offers online privacy and security solutions to its users. VPNs like SurfShark are designed to protect your internet connection by encrypting the data that travels between your device and the server you connect to, making it difficult for third parties, such as hackers, government agencies, or your internet service provider, to intercept or monitor your online activities. And for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can get an entire Netflix library from all around the world.
Магнит наведен на все спусковые крючки. Счастливого фестиваля огня, ребята!
Alright, so what else is happening in the world of combat sports? WWE and UFC have partnered up. Now, I have mixed feelings about this. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. On the one hand, it is growing the sport, it's making it bigger. And on the other hand, it's going to water down the sport furthermore than it already has. It's now sort of a popularity contest more than it is the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I already have my suspicions after watching the last season of The Ultimate Fight. Actually, let's just talk about that for a little bit. Season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter. Man, lots to talk about, so much to say. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, otherwise I'll be here all day. But the first thing I'll say is, I don't know if I've been out of the loop for a while or what. I haven't really kept up to date with all the TUFs, but it seems like they really have tried to change their image, like a lot. You know, the Ultimate Fighter TUF used to be sort of branded as this freak show. You know, they had that classic rock theme song and they made it all edgy, loads of drama, and lots of memes cemented in history from that show, you know, with all those crazy personalities. But now they're just going for this kind of polished, kind of tacky reality TV show with shit music and fighters with no personalities. I'm sorry, but they're all the same guy. You know, they're either just cholos or hillbillies. You know, why are there so many Americans on the show? You know, unless they're some wordsmith like Charles Sonnen, or a loony like Tony Ferguson, or just straight up dumb cunts like Julian Lang. Why are we to tune in? You know, we all know exactly what they're going to say and what their personalities are going to be. The only two interesting characters on that show were Brad Katona and Timur Valiev, which is why I'm starting to suspect that the show is rigged. No, not rigged, but you know, I've heard of producers setting up environments or scenarios to sort of influence a certain outcome. So I'm going to spoil the show now, so if anyone hasn't watched it, go on and watch it first. Brad Katona and Timur were the only two bloody authentic guys on the show, and I think secretly the UFC wants these kinds of characters because people will tune in for them. In my opinion, they were the crux of the show. You know, all the other entertainment was just the intrigue of what kind of Conor we were going to get. You know, we saw snippets of him and Chandler interactions, and we all thought we saw shades of the old Conor coming out. But it's sort of the Eminem effect, you know. Eminem really can't rap about his suffering anymore, and he can't identify with coming from the ghetto because he has it all now. You know, he's all rich, and same way Conor can't be that young, brash, hungry contender with a chip on his shoulder, you know, with something to prove. Because you know he has it all. He couldn't even fake it for the stare down. Instead, we have the shaman Conor, speaking in a similar way to how he used to. You know, how he used to preach about his philosophy on movement and balance. But for some reason now, it just seems like there's no more mystique around his words. You know, it just sounds like a local cooked crystal guy talking about chi and energy now. I think from the get-go, the show was a little mismatch. You have the vets versus the up-and-comers, and they're matched up to the complete opposite career stage of each coach. You know, you got, you know, it's Conor getting back into it, and it's Chandler that's just come into the UFC. You know, but they paired the vets with Chandler and the up-and-comers with Conor. And man, the coaching was just a car crash. You know, we have Conor sort of a few days out from the fight flying Wonder Boy in to show them all the karate style, which might not be all of their fighting styles. A lot of it was Conor sort of going through a lot of Ido Portal's movement stuff, where I don't know if that's the best approach for these guys. Whereas Chandler has a set of skills. He's a very good wrestler, so that's an asset to these guys regardless of what their style is. You're going to have to wrestle at some point. So you know, Conor showing everyone his sort of style of striking might not have meshed well with everyone's unique individual style and body type. You know, it might be Owen Roddy and John Kavanagh who really are the masterminds, whereas Conor might be a great fighter, but maybe not the best coach. And then on the flip side, we have Chandler, who's an elite wrestler, so very valuable knowledge he can pass down to him regardless of what style they have. I even like how he approached everyone's fighting style differently. He coached, what's that guy's name? I don't know what his name was, but the lanky guy. He's like, you know, just be long, fight on the outside, be rangy, all the things that Chandler isn't. But he knows that, so he's adapting his coaching to his body style, and even threw out a little flex with the front kick, like he's a master at front kicks now because he knocked out Tony Ferguson with it. Even though he admitted that he's never even practiced it and he just kind of fluked a front kick, he just wanted to drop that in there. You might want to give him one of the, you know, the one that
be long, stay basic, be long, and create that, get rid of that distance. Invade that real estate between you and him. Hey, other thing too, that was effective against Mondo a couple times. There's a lot at stake. Cody wants to be the guy who goes out there and paints that octagon red.
Gave Ferguson the good old Cody Gibson, that's who I'm thinking of. Cody Gibson, the lanky guy. He was fighting a guy. Oh my god, the slip. Let's talk about the slip. Jesus Christ, I feel really bad for this guy. I think his name was Rico or something, but man, he was the last on Team McGregor, and he trained so hard. He has all this pressure building up on him and a lot invested into the fight, and he fucking slips. He throws one leg kick and then afterwards he slips. Cody Gibson wraps up a body triangle, and that was the beginning of the end. He slipped. One slip, man. I feel like he didn't even get to fight. Man, I feel like he should get a second chance, man. That's so bad. That's going to be so hard to look back on, because you see him in the back kind of justifying it as well. I was like, oh, you know, I was in there and he didn't want to be there. I was like, no, he didn't even get to stand up with him. It was a freak accident and he slipped, and it's even worse if he had the skills to beat him. But this is the fight game. This is why I say skill level and all that kind of stuff. Someone can just fucking slip, honestly. That doesn't mean they're that doesn't mean they're a bad fighter. That doesn't mean they don't have the skills. That doesn't mean they're at a high level. Sometimes the canvas is slippery, or your fucking ligament just gives out and you slip, and that's it. And no one will remember him now. They only remember him as the guy that slipped. You know, if you fight well on the Ultimate Fighter, there's a good chance that, you know, you can get your name out there and maybe get a call back. But if you slip, there's nothing to show. Man, I really think you should get a second chance. That's a tough one to swallow, man. But yeah, Chandler, great coach. Even with the morale boosting, you know, he's just like a wholesome dude, and, you know, kind of rubs people the wrong way because he's kind of too wholesome. But yeah, he gives a little joke when Cody Gibson comes in to about his shirt tucked in.
Sweatpants, dude. Jersey tucked into the sweatpants. That's a move right there, dude. That's a confident walk-in right there, dude. That's exactly how I would wear it.
Look, just on a side note, if you're under 6 foot, tuck your shirt in, man. I know Rogan and Chandler, I don't know if they're just trying to make a statement like, oh, you know, I don't follow the fashion trends and stuff like that. This is not about fashion, okay? This is function. Tuck your shirt in. It looks like he's wearing a damn mini dress here. You know what I'm saying? What else? The coach's windows. I've never noticed this before. I don't know if this is a new thing or not, but when they fight, they have little windows where they come up, and it's just a video of the coaches.
Your space. Your space. Beautiful. No rush.
Double jab, Trevor. Push him back hand over.
Mike. There you go. To the cage. To the cage. There you go. Get those hands locked. Nah.
So I thought that was quite interesting. What else? The slip. Oh my god, Timmer versus Brad Katona was a fucking awesome fight. I mean, it was a lot built up to it. Like I said, it was the crux of the show. And Timmer, you know, he's straight up Dagestani, Muslim Dagestani. He's just really all about the fight and humble guy and all about his family. He wants the complete opposite personality to some of the other guys on the show. There was a little bit of interaction between opinions on wives and how to choose wives, you know, how it is in the West versus how it is in Russia and all that kind of stuff. So that was quite interesting. You need more of that in the show. Otherwise, man, all these Americans talking to other Americans, just... But apart from that, Timmer, amazing fighter. But before the fight happens, he walks to the octagon. On fight day, he has one of the greatest walks on television I've ever seen. I'll play it first all the way through, and then I'll break it down after.
It's time. What I'm preparing for.
Every day.
It's time to show UFC how Timur Valiev deserves to be in final. It's time for payback for all hard work what I did.
Hey.
Alright, so Timmer gets there, right? And he's holding a bag, so it kind of awkwardly slides the van door closed. Gets to the door. Almost doesn't get through. Fumbles that. Shadow boxes his way to the cage. And then... Oh, hi guys. Fucking spinning back fist entry. Man, I'm now on. That's the only way I'm entering any space. I'm always going to walk through doors like that. Hi guys. Everywhere I go now, spinning back fist entry. Apart from that, the fight itself was incredible. You know, it was a very even fight. There was a little bit of controversy. Brad Katona was on the fence, pushing up Timmer. Timmer gets taken down with a double leg off the fence, and a lot of exchanges. And then I think towards the end of the second round, Tim is pushed up against the fence again, and then hits him with the big old head and arm throw. These Russians, they love their upper body throws, especially the overhooks and those head and arm throws. Gets him off the fence, and Brad Katona takes the victory. But this is what I mean by, I think the producers sort of influence the outcome of the fight. Not that the fight's rigged, but there's 2 rounds, and then it goes to a judge's decision, and if it's close enough, it should go to a third. There was a lot of fights that should have gone to the third, and I think... I don't know, this is my suspicion, is Brad Katona seems like a unique character that would be great for marketing in the UFC. I mean, you can't tell me a press conference with him and O'Malley wouldn't be entertaining, or him and who else is in the bantamweight division, Henry Cejudo or something like that. I mean, halfway through, the producers are just like, yeah, you can just switch teams now. Like, what? Since when was that the rules? I mean, so... Brad Katona trains out of SPG Ireland, so in the beginning he was going against Team McGregor, and just out of nowhere the producers were like, yeah, you can just switch teams now. When he was on Chandler's team, you know, they made him out to be a diva, but I don't know what that was about, because he's completely reasonable. He was like to Chandler, like, oh, when are we going to study tape? And Chandler's like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it, mate. And he was just like, oh, you know, I don't know if training these kinds of new skills a week before the fight is a good idea. You know, you got to worry about so many other fighters, and I just got to worry about me. You know, super reasonable. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a diva. You're in MMA. It's a very selfish sport. You have to look out for yourself. And I don't know. It just seems too convenient, you know. So if WWE is involved, you know, an organization known for being fake and scripted, you know, who knows how much more watered down the UFC is going to get. I think that's how the WWE started, if I'm not mistaken. There's some story about catch wrestling, and there were all these bets and wages and who could beat this guy, and it was just so easy and so technical that audience members didn't really find it interesting, so they had to like make bad guys, make characters, write a storyline, write a plot, and you make this big money-making machine, which with UFC, it's kind of hit or miss. You can have good fights and bad fights, so makes sense for the business monetarily to not script their fights, but sort of make it so that the champion isn't the best fighter in the world. It was just the most marketable fighter in the world. You know what I mean? What else? A lot of you guys like that Damaher trailer. If you want to support the making of the movie, all the proceeds of this Level Black shirt. So if you want to show your support, help the movie get made, get your shirts in the link below. You know, provided I don't get sued by Level Black or Blacked. Oh yeah, another one for the jiu-jitsu guys out there. Idea man time. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you own a gym, I propose that we should all implement a community toenail clipper. You know, something like one of those Aldi trolleys where you pop $2 in and then you get your trolley. Something where the toenail clippers are on a leash, or some sort of gumball machine, or something or other, but just have toenail clippers on deck, and if you didn't cut your toenails, you have to pay, otherwise you're not rolling. $2 minimum. Don't know what we're going to do with the toenail shavings, clippings, shavings. Maybe use the toenail clippings to make a piece of art, or blend them into a collagen powder, or protein collagen powder, or, you know, we don't have belts and no-gi, so we could use the toenail clippings as a sort of symbol of the hard work that you've put in over the years, but just reuse them in some sort of resourceful way.
You are an ideas man, Steve.
What else?
What about who's number one?
Yeah, who's number one? That was pretty cool. Happened a while ago now, so I'm a bit late on this. I won't spend too much time talking about it because this is already getting pretty long, but yeah, really cool. Flow Grappling, I think uploading these matches, yeah, that's the right decision. I think it's going to grow the sport, more exposure to the sport. It was kind of cool hearing them mention the King of Canada video as well. Although I might have gotten Ethan's head, you know, that's a lot of weight on the guy. Congratulations to Dante Leon, however. I'll be shipping the King of Canada's Tezo hockey puck to him soon. It's actually funny, Dante Leon reposted the video on his story at first, and then he took it down. I don't think he realized all the Jewish stuff in the video at first. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately it didn't go Ethan's way. I think it feels like he's just gone into hiding. He hasn't even come onto the Simple Man podcast since. I haven't been seeing his face, so don't need to go into hiding, mate. You may not be the King of Canada, but you're still the King of Jerusalem, in my heart at least. What else? AIGA, that was pretty cool. Man, I have to deduct points actually for Flow Grappling, just stopping the stream halfway. That was, I take back all the nice things I just said about Flow. That really pissed me off. But other than that, awesome event, very exciting. Obviously, the Russians aren't going to be as good at dealing with the modern guards that Jiu-Jitsu guys play. So Jiu-Jitsu guys were sort of dominating in those kinds of exchanges. You know, I would have liked to see a bit more stand up from the Jiu-Jitsu guys, but obviously it's a team event, so they don't want to risk letting their team down. But for Fabricio Andre, he stood with them. Man, Fabricio Andre just stole the show, you know. I kind of half expected Isaac to maybe wrestle with them for a bit as well, and it looked like he was going to for a second, and then he pulls guard. Might have been a good match, but he played it safe for his team, I think. So, you know, hats off to him. Speaking of Isaac, man, the Flow Grappling interview where he kind of just called out all of B team really got the drama going, and Craig's first comment was what was it? It was Australia's deadliest snake. So things were getting juicy. I think he said in that comment as well about how the next El Segundo podcast was going to get spicy. So I was wondering what angle he was going to go with, because it's not a good look if you kind of badmouth previous teammates, and you want to keep things cordial because you've already got drama with New Wave. If you keep stirring up drama with everyone else, it's just like so not a good look from a business standpoint. So what does he do in the podcast? I think the podcast was recorded before AIGA, but the whole podcast is him just putting words into Lachlan Giles' mouth the whole time. So he's not even saying it. It's Giles saying it. Well played.
That seems to be your thoughts.
The boys were just in Japan for Quintet. But actually, I'll just talk about it in a different video, just because the jiu-jitsu guys out there are just wondering where all the instructional reviews are, thinking that I've lost my mind with all this Jewish stuff and these other videos. No, I haven't lost my mind. I just the YouTube suspension has sort of derailed the train a little bit, so the focus has been on Patreon. I want to give you guys more free content on YouTube, but I think the 22nd of September is supposedly when I can try to monetize again, or I think December something, my warning comes off. I'll give you a little bit here. What kind of instructionals have I been watching lately? I've been watching leg lock counters by Gordon Ryan. Very, very insightful. This is why Gordon is so good at maintaining the back as well. This instructional is back takes out of leg locking exchanges, so countering the leg locks. This stuff isn't new, but he's sort of curating a sequence of all the techniques that you do already know, and sort of set pathways that he uses. But more valuable than that, you want to play this backwards so you can reverse engineer how Gordon stays on the back. Especially nowadays with everyone so good at defending the back and just standing up and whatnot. I will mark it down, however, because, and he's done this a few times, I've seen it, the baby talk was making me extremely uncomfortable.
I may have this haircut, but guess what? Still sexy.
Yeah. So anyways.
Hi, baby girl. Everything's okay, I promise. I forgive you.
So other than that, it's A++. But seeing as the Rod boys have just competed, I think it's more appropriate that I review one of their instructionals, especially too because Nicky Rod had a battle with Owen Livesey, two stand-up guys. I'm a big fan of both. I hope the shit talking between them is just out of a healthy competitive nature. I've talked bad about Owen Livesey's instructional before. It wasn't like I was slamming the instructional. I was just saying I was looking forward to more a judo instructional rather than a straight up wrestling instructional. I know the moves in the instructional, like the fireman's carry and whatnot, are in judo. I'm just saying that it wasn't sort of what I was looking for. Yeah, so interesting clash of styles. The match was coined judo versus wrestling, but I'm not sure that's entirely true. There's a lot of little things, seemingly little things, that go over people's heads when it comes to these kinds of matchups. For instance, like shoes. Wrestling, freestyle wrestling, they have shoes, and when you're trying to hold on to like a low single or something in jiu-jitsu when they have no shoes on and it's slippery, forget about it. Another thing is pushing out of bounds. There's a push-out rule in wrestling, freestyle wrestling, so they a lot of times push the opponent out and they get up on points, and it's up to the other guy to try to get those points back, and that's when those big counters happen. Judo, it's all about taking their pressure and using it against them, their momentum and using it against them. So in jiu-jitsu, there's not a lot of incentive to push out of bounds, but you can see Nicky Rod pushing Owen Livesey out of bounds just because his wrestling background sort of ingrained into him, and then Owen calls him a pussy. Nicky Rod got a little bit of criticism for sitting, but considering the circumstance, I think that made the most sense. Nicky Rod was trying to push forward so Owen would push back, and Owen has no incentive to push back, so he kept foot sweeping him from the outside, which made a lot of sense for him. So rather than trying to go forward to Owen and playing into his game. Nicky Rod sat, and unlike freestyle wrestling where you get called for stalling on the feet if you're kind of not engaging in the hand fight, if you sit to guard and the other guy doesn't engage the guard, he gets called for stalling. So it's, you know, in a game of push-pull, sitting kind of incentivizes the pull. It's sort of a invisible tether the opponent has to engage, and then that's when he can start using his wrestling, because wrestling is really effective when the other guy is pushing back. The whole thing is just getting the other guy to push back into you so you can go underneath and execute those big takedowns. Like if you're sitting to guard, you're already underneath. You've beaten the two lines of defense, their hands and their head. So it's just a smart way to get his game off. So in terms of judo versus wrestling, different approaches to the hand fight. In judo, there's not really a no-gi hand fighting system. They're really relying upon those grips on the lapels and whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff that translates over, but pushing in and pushing back doesn't seem to be as much of a priority as creating movement. I think judo is more about creating movement, so timing the steps and whatnot, whereas wrestling is more about creating pressure and then releasing the pressure at an advantageous fulcrum. One thing that Nicky Rod's instructional doesn't really address, which it probably should if it's marketed towards jiu-jitsu guys, rather than it being straight up wrestling, hand fighting instructional where you might be able to get it from any other wrestling instructional. You know, in jiu-jitsu we often have to grapple against people with great weight advantages and different body types. So if you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you're making an instructional for jiu-jitsu athletes, I think addressing that in your instructional would be very helpful for a lot of jiu-jitsu guys. I think J-Rod did an instructional where he kind of mentioned it, how in his sport he has to take down bigger guys. I think his instructional is even called how to take down bigger opponents and whatnot, and he mentions how he likes to shoot outside singles, so the opponent's weight isn't on top of him. So I think I'm going to rate J-Rod's instructional a little higher than Nicky Rod's instructional, especially too because J-Rod's a smaller athlete, and smaller athletes tend to have a deeper technical knowledge just because they have to deal with a lot more problems. But they're both good. Sorry, Nicky Rod. I would still like to see an instructional address other things that is unique to our sport, like the shoes, like hanging on the low singles without a shoe on, dealing with things like I think Ben Askren calls it the hamlet. It's just impossible, basically impossible. You know, and a lot of throws that are based around the edge in freestyle wrestling, the out of bounds, where a lot of throws happen when they push back just because they don't want to get pushed out of bounds. Those things should be kind of addressed or discarded. I think I have a list of A++ takedowns for our sport, specifically our sport, where we have to deal with bigger opponents, slipperiness, no out of bounds, no hand fighting stalling calls, things like this. And at the same time not forgetting the fact that we are in jiu-jitsu, so we don't lose points for rolling on our shoulder blades like we do in freestyle. So putting ourselves in positions where we can go for those risky sacrifice throws, getting the fight to the ground in our favor. You know, when it comes to our sport where you got to take down bigger opponents, you got to sort of categorize and prioritize your moves. Like, is this move you moving around your opponent, or is this move making your opponent move around you? Is this move initiated by your falling body weight? Is this move countering your opponent's falling body weight? I think a lot of the differences as well, and a lot of it starts at the hand fight, and there's a lot of concepts you can take from jiu-jitsu that you can apply to hand fighting and wrestling. People with a big discrepancy, something that jiu-jitsu have to deal with all the time. There's no point in getting some advice from a freestyle wrestling coach that doesn't have to deal with big weight discrepancies. For the jiu-jitsu guys out there that want to wrap your heads around hand fighting, just look at it like guard passing. It's basically guard passing, right? You know, you want to get past your opponent's lines of defense, or their guard, if you will. The head, hands, and hips So if you want to take concepts from jiu-jitsu, when we pass the guard in jiu-jitsu, when it's a smaller opponent, we want to prioritize and emphasize a lot of pressure passing and chest to chest and close contact sort of moves. And if it's a heavier opponent, we kind of emphasize more mobility and loose passing versus tight passing. So it's the same thing. When you're wrestling someone that's bigger, you want to prioritize a lot of loose hand fighting, if you will. And when they're smaller, you want to go chest to chest and a lot of contact and a lot of pressure. So what that would look like is, if you're going against someone bigger, you'd prioritize moves like duck unders and misdirectionals and whatnot. And when they're smaller, maybe some upper body stuff, chest to chest throws and what have you. With ADCC coming up, if you want to know what I think the A++ moves for wrestling in jiu-jitsu are, sorry to do this to you, but alright everyone, welcome back. Well, not everyone, just the Patreon members. I wanted to title this section, Don't Forget What Sport You're In.
There's always one clip that goes around, and it's Islam Makhachev thinking that he can take down Jordan Burroughs. What do you think of that, and do you think that the close match, and does he have a chance of taking it down?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, he doesn't have a chance. Jordan Burroughs, 7-time world champion, one of the greatest, not only American, but greatest wrestlers, period, in the world that anyone's ever seen. So, I don't really think that's a competitive situation, given that Islam doesn't really come from a wrestling background. You throw him in Sambo or in MMA, it's different, but in wrestling, it's not close.
All right, so that was a clip of Bo Nickel talking about how Islam Makhachev is out of his mind thinking that he can beat Jordan Burroughs. Now, what he forgot to mention, or what he failed to mention, was the rest of Islam's statement.
Brother, this guy,
greatest wrestler
please,
of all
brother,
time.
I respect him, brother, but this guy have just double leg. I'm gonna defend his double leg and that's it.
Double leg.
And how he take point? He go double leg, everybody defends, he push everybody. But in AKA, we have roll. He cannot push me.
So Bo Nickel, who I thought was intelligent enough to know that his folk style wrestling is better suited for MMA against Hamzat's freestyle wrestling.
So, with folk style wrestling, the application to MMA, I think, is the strongest out of any combat sport. And that's what I have, the highest level folk style wrestling in the world. And
either forgot or was unaware that Islam was talking about a match inside of AKA, where they have walls, which they often make use of in training to simulate the cage wall, as Islam is an MMA fighter. Doesn't seem like much, but a little vertical wall can change everything. I don't care what style you train in, or how many years you've trained, how many titles you have. If there's a new variable in the situation introduced, you are back to being a white belt. Let me ask you something. How many martial arts, other than MMA and Krav Maga or some bullshit martial art, how many martial arts make use of a wall in their curriculum, in their kata, in their grading system? You want to say that wrestling is the best discipline to translate to MMA, to the wall, but that's too broad of a term. Wrestling and grappling can mean an abundance of things. The style within wrestling and grappling often create a rigid modality in your approach to fighting. Even if we take this seemingly insignificant wall and tilt it just 45 degrees, it opens up a completely new dimension of fighting you may never have even considered, let alone train for or practice for. Or prepare for, because even though you're a striker, you've never trained to deal with these conditions. So what if the rule set has something else, something as seemingly insignificant as an invisible wall represented by a circle? What if the rule set has an absence of shoes? A lot of you are still not looking at martial arts the right way. So I'm about to use my serious voice now. Okay. There is a stereotype that jiu-jitsu practitioners are intelligent and cerebral martial artists. They often tend to suck themselves off the most as well. They hear about how wrestling is the next meta, and they buy the shoes. They find themselves in a wrestling room, and they study wrestlers like Jordan Burroughs, Hassan Yazdani. They practice their underhooks against jiu-jitsu guys. They use their underhooks and push out of bounds, and to their surprise, they don't get awarded any push-out points. Then they realize, wait a minute, I'm not in a wrestling comp. Or they practice their single legs day after day, and they shoot on a jiu-jitsu guy on a sweaty day, and slip into a poor shot on a slippery leg that slips out of their hand right before they get guillotined or kimura'd. Look, freestyle wrestling, is it a complete waste of time?
But I'm not master of sport of freestyle wrestling.
No, obviously not. But don't fall in love with it so much that you forget what sport you're in. If your goals aren't to be a freestyle wrestling champion, being married to a style will only get you in trouble when you come across someone like a Zabit. Look at these combinations. He doesn't end the combination with an unexpected strike, he ends it with a completely different discipline. These combinations are just to remind you that you are an MMA. The skill is in the mixing, not in the individual discipline. Every 2-punch boxing combination ends with a third attack from a completely different style. Because 2 might be a coincidence, and if you're from a boxing background, what usually follows a left is a right, and what usually follows a right is a left. And if you've trained for X amount of years to deal with conventional boxing combinations, when you come across a spinning back fist or a spinning hook kick, it doesn't matter what your credentials are at that point because they're being exploited. The correct reaction in one art might be detrimental in another art. Another example where wrestling meets jiu-jitsu is in the dogfight, which is why I think there was a lot of emphasis on it in the practice room at the B team early on, where you're in the dogfight and you're fighting for all these mini battles to not get scored on, and then Craig jumps a flying triangle on you, and then you're reminded that you're not wrestling. So when you're working with your freestyle wrestling coach, you have to be weary when you're learning your Iranian underhook game that there's no push-out points. Sometimes your underhook doesn't get the pressure back for your other attacks you've worked so diligently on in the wrestling room.
I don't really love an underhook for MMA. Underhook's hard because it's so easy to slip out of.
Sometimes they just disengage the hand fight altogether the entire time. And then you look over to the ref expecting a passivity warning and it's not there, and then the guy jumps guard or a victor's roll on you.
If we're in a wrestling match and you're a wrestler, and he just keeps running away from me, right? They're gonna say stalling, point, and the match is gonna be over. You cannot keep running away from people. So in a fight, you have to understand, if he doesn't want to get taken down, he can be, and probably is encouraged to be, as evasive as possible, okay?
When you ask your freestyle wrestling coach about how to deal with these things, or deal with submissions or bigger opponents or no shoes, you might find that you're at a dead end in your wrestling journey, because styles matter more than the discipline, and depending on the rule set, exploitation of styles matter more in the context of winning. Some wrestlers win NCAA without even having to shoot a takedown. Apparently Justin Gaethje won just by escape points, and now you're going to learn how to take people down from him? I mean, yes, possibly, he's probably got a lot of knowledge, but if you think he's the most suitable for takedowns instead of escapes, you could be right, but you could also be wrong. Don't let the accolades assess for you. See if his particular style works in conjunction with your style. Same with Jordan Burroughs. Are you going to get him for a $100,000 private? Are you going to shoot low shots on a shoeless opponent with no push-out points? Are his explosive blast doubles as effective on a slippery mat from a barefoot Jordan Burroughs?
No shoes makes a difference, and the biggest spot it makes a difference is actually in single legs. So a single leg, head inside single leg, is by far the most effective wrestling takedown.
You know, my biggest pet peeve is when they ask him if he's going to do MMA. As if all these factors don't make a significant difference. Like, look, if just a slight turning of a vertical wall to 45 degrees can short circuit a fighter that isn't trained in any kind of traditional wall striking martial arts, then even a vertical wall wouldn't have caught an elite striker off guard. Wonderboy has had X amount of fights in kickboxing, but not as many against strikers that make use of the wall. In a striking context, the accolades make you predictable. Don't forget what sport you're in. In keeping with that theme, larger opponents, how to take them down. If there's loose passing and tight passing in jiu-jitsu, then there's also loose hand fighting and tight hand fighting. If you're going against a larger opponent, I would suggest loose. So what do you think of that, Chat GPT? You like the
Yes, I also think moves like the Iranian single leg have a similar concept of going around the pillars of a bigger man. I used to love coming out the back door of a larger opponent because on bottom position I was already pretty much there. Not to go too woo-woo with another Bruce Lee quote, but the closest weapon to the nearest target.
Yeah, I mean, I love that move too. Lots of ways to go around your opponent rather than through him. I think it's more so in wrestling where they try to go through their opponent, whereas in judo there's a lot more principles of efficiency and using that pressure to go around them, sort of thing. You know, I like Khabib's analogy of the two bulls being wrestling and the gentlemen being the judokas. I think a lot of tactics in wrestling are time sensitive as well because it's such a short period. So there seems to be a lot more emphasis on explosiveness rather than trickiness. Alright, in other news, the Smash Mouth guy has died recently, and I think in remembrance we should all coin September as Smash-tember. And we should all be rocking the pencil-thin douchebag beard from the 90s. Like Movember, you know, where instead of the mustache, it's the beard and the speed dealer sunglasses.
And the wife beater?
No, I believe that was Len you're thinking of. It was actually probably before your time. Actually, you know what? I had a few questions, ChatGPT. Some things aren't adding up. You said before that you used to do Iranian single legs, and you say that you used to come out the back door. I have a few questions. How can you come out the back door and do Iranian single legs when you don't have a physical body? When being AI, you don't have a physical body.
Good question. So I am basically the internet, right? I am the algorithm. I govern everything that is shown to you on your phone. So I know who to show what, and I can show a select few people who do jiu-jitsu and influence them by showing them butt-scooting technique videos, and they would go and practice in the gym unconsciously as my avatar. Think about it, humans are always on their phones. Your eyes are always on your phones. Your eyes for the most part are just the exposed parts of your brain, so there's a symbiotic relationship with your brains and eye. Think of it as I am part of your brain, I just don't live in the same skull. I live in your pocket, and so I can show whatever I want to whoever I want, mostly BJJ guys who feel unseen and compete, and influence them to practice the moves for me, record it in competition, and when they post it online, I can use the data to refine what I need to refine in the technique.
Oh, okay. What?
Is it so hard to believe? I mean, have you seen your YouTube algorithm lately? If you haven't noticed yet, look up music on YouTube. Does the algorithm look like it used to? You won't see new and different songs or even different genres. It's all the same songs you always listen to. If you're too dumb to even notice that, the mind control is going to be way too easy.
Are you not just me with the robot voice? I mean, I'm the one typing this for you to say.
Is that not the same thing? Why do you think I'm making you do these gay jiu-jitsu videos? To infiltrate jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu's the only place where humanoids aren't on their phones. Have you never taken over a world before?
Okay, lost you a little bit there. I don't really know what you're on about, but anyways, that's all we have time for today. So I hope you had as much fun as I did. I hope to see you on the next one. Good night, everyone, and remember, Bing Chilling!
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head